Hey everyone, it's PL Street here. I'm back with another one of these spontaneous videos. Good day, good afternoon, good morning, good night, wherever you are. It's the afternoon here in lovely Canada, where I am. So the purpose of this video is I want to talk to you about three incredible anthologies. So, give you a bit of an...
Hey everyone, it's PL Street here. I'm back with another one of these spontaneous videos.
Sorry, I got a little feedback there. Apologies, I had my YouTube up, so and I don't edit things like that out, so that's a faux pas on my part. It will stay. Okay, so in any case, once again, this video is about these anthologies. I am here to talk about them a bit, give you a bit of an incentive to read them. Also, just in general, just talk about anthologies quickly and why they're worthwhile. So these three anthologies. Sorry, let me preface this by saying I wasn't initially an anthology person. So when I got into writing and became an author myself and also a blogger, anthologies weren't top of mind. They weren't something that I really, thought about in terms of putting them on TBR and selecting them. I'd only read a few. They were good. The one few that I read early in my writing/blog career were good, but I didn't feel particularly compelled to read a lot of them, not because they weren't good. It just they were good, but weren't really my bag, I thought. But then the more and more I progressed in my writing, and I found that, there really, really is potential for me anyways as a reader for anthologies. I really wasn't a short story person per se, but then I found that anthologies, knowing that it was essentially a compilation of short stories and kind of like a novel in a way, but not, I started getting more encouraged to read them. They turned for me into more of a palate cleanser almost. And I really started to enjoy the ones that I read. And then, of course, I got a bit more involved in anthologies to the point where, first, the degree where I wrote a foreword for one, and that's what I'm going to talk about. So full disclosure, two of these anthologies, one I wrote a foreword for, and, a lot of the authors are close friends. They're still brilliant, and I still believe there's plenty of reasons, aside from my biases, why I should read that anthology for sure. And the other one, I have a short story in that anthology. So I will definitely disclose that, hey, you know what? That's my involvement with them. But I do not believe that it detracts whatsoever from how amazing these anthologies are. So, and the third one, I don't have involvement with it at all, other than a friend who's an author said it to me. So, anthologies, I just want to talk a bit about why reading anthologies I think is worthwhile. And this is something I discovered, right? So when it comes to fantasy and sci-fi anthologies, it's like anything else. You want the escapism, you want the world building, and you want an experience when you read these stories. What I found about anthologies, because it's short fiction, it really, the authors have to really pack a punch and really be mindful of their word counts and how efficient they are in really drawing the readers in right away. So I found that in some ways, and believe me, I think I've said this before in a few lives, that I'm one of those rambling, more verbose guys. So I found it really hard to write short fiction. Like when I had to write that short story for that anthology, that really challenged me because I only had so many words to get my point across. But I found, I was able to do it. And I don't think I'm great at short fiction, but there's some authors in that anthology where I have my short story that are absolutely astounding short fiction, and the way they're able to convey setting and tone and the world building, just a really small page count, is absolutely fantastic. So I learned from them, from reading their stories and reading others. So I hope to get better at short fiction in the future, because I do want to write quite a few short stories in the John Kingdom universe. So, but in any case, that's one of the benefits, I think, of short stories. It also, it's just the variety, because you get exposed to all these different authors, there's all the different styles. You can have different subgenres, like the anthology of Shapers of Worlds that I was part of. You got sci-fi, you get fantasy, you got fantasy core, you have all these different genres and subgenres, and it really, really gives you a diverse reading experience, and I think that's awesome. And of course, I think what draws a lot of people to short stories in general is that, there's not a lot of, time involved. You don't have to, commit yourself to, some big 400, 500, 600 1,000-page tome that a lot of fantasy and sci-fi readers tend to read. I know I certainly do. So that's also a great reason to invest in an anthology. And I think also, depending on what type of anthology it is, I've found, my experience, a lot of anthologies I've read, they're really deep with thematic work. Okay, so and they tend to address some of the complex themes that I look for, like the societal issues and things like that, that I look for in my science fiction and fantasy. So I think those are just some of the reasons why anthologies are great for those who enjoy those genres and subgenres. That you can get a lot of different authors, and again, thematically, I think some thematic work in these anthologies is absolutely fabulous. So without further ado, let me get to the actual anthologies. Again, I have 3 of them. So this one is Althingi. So may or may not have heard of this one. It's called Althingi, the Crescent and the Northern Star. That subtitle itself gives you an indication about what it's all about. So these are all historical fiction stories, and the editors, Mohammed Ahmad and Josh Gillingham. Mohammed is an assistant professor at the University of Washington, a research scientist, and he is an expert in Islamic themes and Muslim cultures. And then Josh is actually a game designer, and he's produced a humorous book. I think it's co-produced, called Old Norse for Modern Times. So these editors have some expertise in those fields. So you have the Viking, the Norse expertise, and you also have the Islam, the Muslim expertise. And this anthology is a collection essentially of historical fiction stories that delve into the fictional interactions between the Islamic world and the Vikings during that time frame, like essentially, the Viking Age. So it's really fascinating, right? So this talks about things such as in terms of the interactions, how a lot of these interactions would have come through trading. So cultures trading with each other. It explores some of the issues that happen when cultures interact, positive things and issues as well. It also exposes some of the common tropes that you associate with these cultures. It highlights some of the cultural exchange essentially, and there is a Althingi card game universe. I believe that Joshua, one of the editors, he's the one that has designed that. So it's set in this universe that's inspired by this card game, and this is really unique because this is an often unexplored and unlooked into part of history. And I think one of the reasons why the editors chose to put this together and get these brilliant authors together to make this anthology, because they wanted to, do something that ran contrary to a lot of the stereotypes, right? And the negative stereotypes involving these cultures, especially in terms of barbarism and brutality and things like that are associated with this era. And it really focuses on some of these actual historical things that happened, such as Islamic coins that were located when they did archaeological digs and they found Viking hordes, and some of their shared beliefs systems, especially things like prophecy, and it kind of gives a really fresh perspective on both cultures, and it really accentuates the humanity and the things that they have in common. It's great. It brings to life all these aspects that are, I think, would largely be forgotten. So think about it. Just the whole concept is so exciting, like Norse mythology, which a lot of people love, and Islamic, especially Islamic scholarship, which is something that a lot of people love as well. So, and you bring them together in a mashup. I just think it's fabulous that that this was done at all. And yeah, there's some great stuff, great stories in here. Some of the authors, I'll just read some of them off: Emily Osborne, Jordan Stratford, Simone Clarks, Sammy Shaw, R.F. Dunham, Katie Felix. There's a bunch of amazing authors, both traditionally published and indie published, that are part of this anthology. So highly recommend it. So shout out to Joshua Gillingham. He's one of the editors, as I said, and he's the one that sent me this anthology. Thank you so much, Josh. I really appreciate it. And this was a gift because my good friend Bjorn Larson, who's also a brilliant author himself, and I'll talk a bit about Bjorn more when we get to the other anthology, he asked Joshua to send this to me at my request because I was really interested in this, and this is just fascinating. It's awesome. Oh, and in the chat, my sister from another mother. Hey, Alicia, how are you? Alicia from Birdie of the Books, of course, brilliant YouTuber. Please check out her content. She is wonderful. She is the dear friend and someone I so respect and admire. It's always a good day when I get to see you show up in the feed there, Alicia. So thanks so much. Hope we're doing well. Can't wait to talk to you again soon. Alicia, one thing especially I've been honored with Alicia. She's been so kind. She's been hosting a series of deep dives into my John Kingdom saga. So check out her channel for all those deep dives of the books in my series. And I guess we'll be getting to another one soon for book 6, The Black Dragon on Red, which is coming out later this year. So thanks again, Alicia, for stopping by and for everything you do. I'm just very honored and happy to call you friend. So thank you. All right, so that was Althingi. That's one of the anthologies, and Alicia said she's in. I think you would really like this, Alicia. I think you'd really enjoy it. And it's not a big reading commitment, right? A lot of these anthologies too, like they're not so big, and with all the short stories that are in there, like I said, I think you get a lot of punch, a lot of bang for the buck. So, and this is definitely one very fascinating topic. So that is Althingi. Okay, so the next anthology that I'm going to talk about, it is one where I had the extreme honor and privilege of writing a foreword for. It is a collection of indie authors that I know well. I consider all of them friends. A lot of them I've had a lot of close interactions with over the years in terms of supporting each other during our writing journey as we go through this entrepreneurial thing. The person responsible for this, all hail the Princess of Grimdark, H.L. Tinsley, Holly Tinsley, of course, another dear friend of mine. She got all these, the ability to put together a cast like this, like Holly, kudos to you. Kudos for getting this anthology together. She did such an amazing job of bringing a collection of authors just absolutely stupendous in terms of their talent. Holly also is a contributor. She has a wonderful story in here as well. All the stories in here, wow. Absolutely incredible. So you have, and I'm going to read all these authors off. So you have Holly Tinsley, like I said, Tim Hardy, who's famous for Brotherhood of the Eagle, Ella McRae and her Dragon Spirit series, Tolly, Tim, and LL, all SPFBO finalists, Bjorn Larson, Lee C. Conley, Jacob Sanix, multiple SPFBO semi-finalists, Chris Matar, another finalist there in SPFBO, B.A. Bellick, awesome with the horror stuff, Sean Crow, another horror/fantasy author, Ryan House, another brilliant author and I think SPFBO semi-finalist, and editor Zamil Akhtar, Gunmetal Gods. That series is so popular, right? So you have like an all-star cast here, right? It's really, really absolutely incredible. So that's the lineup here. And again, I was very humbled to write the foreword. But on top of that, guess who the editor was? Sarah Chorn, an absolutely stupendous author herself, and pretty well one of the best editors out there, especially in the indie scene. I think, with Sarah at the helm of making sure that these stories are honed and sharpened, it's like taking a whetstone to a blade, as we like to say. This just made this anthology just even better. So with Sarah as the editor. So I think Alicia quickly said that, going back to Althingi, you don't see many historical fiction anthologies. At least I haven't seen a lot, Alicia. So hopefully you might find it interesting. And she also said, I think you really like Never Was Night. It's an Indigenous horror anthology. Okay, Never Was Night. Okay, I'm gonna have to put that on TBR, Alicia. Okay, Never Was Night. Thank you so much for that rec. Okay, I gotta look that up and get that on the TBR. I'll bookmark this so I can put that on the TBR. Thank you. Okay, so Anatomy of Fear, again, it is brilliant. The one thing about this anthology that is really fabulous that I like as a feature is that, so first of all, let me just explain a bit more about it. So it explores the intersection of the human body, so human anatomy, and fear. And there's 12 stories in here, and it's each story is inspired by a different part of the body. So with this being centered around body parts or body systems, the anthology examines how these body parts and systems can be related to horror and all kinds of elements of horror: grimdark, gothic, gaslamp, fantasy, but specifically horror. And some of them are like they're dark, they're creepy. You have blood-stained gothic streets, and you have these other worlds, and it really is a great mashup of fantasy and horror. So this was also just to let you know, it was funded through a Kickstarter. So I forgot to mention that a lot of these great anthologies are often Kickstarter funded. So definitely check them out. If you're a Kickstarter person, see if it's something worth backing when you see an anthology coming out. So, and also I should mention that the audiobook of this version is narrated by the amazing RJ Bailey, another well-known audiobook narrator, especially for the indie space. He's just absolutely phenomenal. I hope to have him doing some of my audiobooks one day. If there's an audiobook for this as well, so if you'd like to get into this book that way. And so just of a note that there are other similar titles out there, like with the title Anatomy of Fear. There's a video game, I believe, named that, and there's also a crime novel, but this is the fantasy horror version of that with that title. So just so you are clear on that. So Alicia notes, and I think this is about the What's That Night, the only anthology that she's given 5 stars. Oh, that's high praise, Alicia. So I'll definitely have to check that out. So thanks again for that rec. That is awesome. So once again, this Anatomy of Fear, definitely worth your time, I think. Look at that cover. It's gorgeous. Again, it's available in audiobook, and check that out. And finally, the last anthology. Again, this is a bit of shameless self-promotion because I have my first short story fiction in this. And this is Shapers of World Volume 5. And so this anthology, wow. I mean, what can I say about it? So just to be clear, this anthology, the way Holly put together Anatomy of Fear, this is all due to the awesome Ed Willett. He's a traditionally published author. He has his own publishing company called Shadow Paw Press. What Ed was doing was he was inviting authors from his award-winning Shapers of World Shapers podcast story. So his podcast is called The World Shapers. It's award-winning, extremely well-recognized. And he was inviting these authors on and then asking the authors to participate in versions of this Shapers of World anthology for the past 5 years. So this was version 5. Unfortunately, it's the final one. So definitely, I would say go out and get 1 through 5. They're all fabulous, but there won't be any more, at least according to what Ed has said. But yeah, this is the last one, so I was extremely honored to be asked. I was like, hey, you sure you want me to write this thing? Because there's some absolutely astounding and top authors in this, bestsellers and award-winning authors. Ido Van Belkom, MC Horgath, yeah. Jaggy Lamplighter, Garth Nix, Lawrence M. Sherwin, Alan Small, Brad R. Torkinson, Brian Trent, Ed Willett himself. Oh, MJ Kuhn. I can't forget MJ Kuhn. She is just spectacular and an international best-selling author. So yeah, like you have quite the lineup here. And like I said, I guess I just snuck in somehow. But yeah, it's just marvelous. This is now the stories are not connected the way they are in the other 2 anthologies, Althingi and Anatomy of Fear. It's 24 stories. It's wide ranging. It's various speculative fiction subgenres. So you got outer space, space opera. You got urban fantasy. You got alternate history. You have fantasy. You have fantasy horror. You name it, right. But what I think that this has in common, they're all really totally immersive. They're thrilling. They're gripping. They're deep. The thematic work is fantastic. I talked earlier about the thematic work in some of these anthologies. It's just fantastic. Now, again, with the shameless self-promotion stuff, my particular story in this anthology is entitled Forest Dark. It's around the middle, right smack dab in the middle of the anthology where it occurs, and it's set in my Drowned Kingdom universe as my first foray into fantasy horror, but it's very connected to what you can expect from book 6 in my Drowned Kingdom saga. So a very integral story related to that my main world. So again, but so many brilliant authors in this, so many amazing stories. You definitely want to check this out. Shapers of World 5, and check out all of the Shapers of Worlds 1 through 4 as well that Ed Willett has put together. What a marvelous job he's done in doing that. So there's many more brilliant authors in those anthologies that you can read their short fiction as well. So again, Shapers of World 5, and my story, Forest Dark. Alicia, I think I've sent you a copy of that, if I'm not mistaken. If I haven't, I'm remiss. I'll send you an ARC. I think I have, Alicia, but if not, because you may want to have that handy to read before or after when you get to my book 6, A Black Dragon Unread. So, because it's definitely connected. Okay, so in any case, that is my quick overview of those 3 anthologies and why you should get them. And once again, Althingi, Crescent and Northern Star, about the interrelation between ancient Islam and the Vikings, the Norse. And you have The Anatomy of Fear, which is fantasy horror and regarding body parts as the vehicle for the horror which occurs. And you finally have Shapers of World, Volume 5, a mix-mash of various types of subgenres in speculative fiction, horror, fantasy, sci-fi, etc. And yes, also I sent to you, I have a Kindle copy, excited, waiting for whenever we release the release date for book 6 to read it. Okay, and Alicia, and if you want an uncorrected ARC, of course, you are welcome to getting one. The book is with the editor now, and it's coming this year. So book 6, almost done. 6 out of 7 will be out soon, and hopefully wrapping up with book 7 early next year in 2027. 7 books, wow. So that's my little video about these anthologies and why you should read them, these 3 wonderful anthologies. I hope you do check them out. Thank you so much, dear Alicia, again, my sister from another mother, for coming by and just dropping in on the chat. Like I said, always a great day to see you. Please check out Alicia's channel. She is absolutely amazing. Posts some awesome content. And again, I'm so honored to have her leading deep dives into my Drowned Kingdom saga. And okay, you asked for it. Okay, so I'll get that to you. I'll get it to you sometime later today or early tomorrow. So thank you so much, Alicia, for stopping by in the chat, and for anyone who's maybe been lurking and hanging out and didn't feel like commenting, of course, that's fine. Thanks for checking out this live. Obviously, thank you to anyone who is going to watch on replay. And hopefully I gave you a reason to check out those 3 awesome anthologies and anthologies in general. All right, so signing off, P.L. Stewart, and we'll talk to you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.